Ladies and gentlemen, we've invited first class, now we're inviting executive platinum, emerald, sapphire, and ruby. If those words are written on your... Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back the jet lag, Lee Harris. How are you?
Slightly jet lagged. No, I'm okay, actually. I'm not too bad. Eyes are a little bit heavy, but we're getting there. We'll survive for about another half an hour, I reckon.
How was it? I mean, with all the chaos that we see with the travel right now, how was the journey from England all the way to New Zealand? Did you have any problem?
We had slight problems, not due to the airports. The airports were, I've got to say, were very good. They were very busy. Heathrow was very busy. Getting through did take longer than usual, but it was okay. It wasn't too bad. We had a few issues when we got to the US because we traveled via San Francisco to get back to Auckland. That was more US check-in staff being slightly overzealous, shall we say, with regards to my children's visas, which they do have for New Zealand. So yeah, we were held up a little bit, but for not too long. So it's probably about 25, 30-minute hold up whilst they checked visas, which we did have, and we did show them.
Right. Well, you're home now and life can go back to normal.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing how quickly you slip back into it, isn't it? I mean, it's been a month on the road and yeah, first day back, and it feels like we've not been away.
Woo-woo, I know. Do you know what vacation? It just goes and you haven't noticed it's gone.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. And I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s, and their people move people.
Including me.
Including you. And they did a great job of it because you got all the way from New Zealand to England and back again.
There you go. I am proof that we are good.
You are. So, do you know what? We thought that once the pandemic was under control, as it were, that travel would get easier. Yes, we may have the new normal in certain areas, but it would just sort of go back. That isn't happening. What's going on over at BA?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not, is it? British Airways have announced that they will eliminate 10,000 flights to and from Heathrow between late October and the end of March. The airline said the decision was taken with the goal of minimising disruption over the winter, given the extension of the cap on daily passenger numbers imposed by Heathrow Airport. Most cancellations will be on routes which have other daily services to the same destinations. British Airways did say in a statement that the airline decided to adjust its short-haul flight schedule until the end of March, adopting a reduction of 5,000 round trips or a total of 10,000 flights. Under the new schedule, British Airways will operate 290 daily round trips from Heathrow this winter.
This is really going to affect, there's a knock-on effect with that because one airline canceling that many flights means that if you are transiting from one end of the earth to the other, as for me, myself, just going from Canada to here, there's 3 flights. So pull one of those flights out of service, and who knows how you're going to sort of arrange it and how long that journey is going to take.
Exactly right. Like they say, it's 10,000 flights that they're cancelling, but the knock-on effect with other airlines, like you say, if they're transiting or whatever, it's going to be a lot more than that for sure. All we can say to people is that the airline should book you onto the next available flight. Whether they do that or not is another matter. Obviously, if they don't, make sure you get in contact with your travel agent because they're going to be worth their weight in gold at this time once again.
I can imagine. Now, Singapore has some good news.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Singapore, they've announced plans to further ease its COVID-19 restrictions. As from August the 28th, non-vaccinated travellers no longer are required to undergo a 7-day stay-at-home notice quarantine period on arrival into the city-state, or neither do they need to take a PCR test at the end of the 7 days. They will, however, still have to take a pre-departure test within 2 days of leaving for Singapore, a requirement which was removed for fully vaccinated travellers back in late April. In addition, from August 29th, mask wearing is no longer compulsory in most indoor settings, except for those where essential services are carried out in enclosed and crowded areas, and which are frequently used by vulnerable persons.
And Emirates.
Yes, New Zealanders heading to Dubai and Europe with Emirates will again have a direct path as non-stop flights between Auckland and Dubai Once again, the carrier's longest direct flight returned to the skies from the 1st of December. As an added bonus, the 17-hour and 10-minute service will be upgraded to an Airbus A380. That's complete with its in-flight bar and lounge for business and first-class travellers. Very much like yourself, Ria, I'm sure. The Super Jumbo swap will mean a substantial upgrade for business class to the A380's fully flatbeds as well, and that's without the dreaded middle seat and unpopular 232 layout. Currently, Emirates is serving Auckland daily with a Boeing 777 aircraft, but that takes a 90-minute stop in Kuala Lumpur in both directions.
I hate those middle seats.
I know. I was stuck on a middle seat on both my flights on the way back. I mean, that was my kids either side, so it made it even worse.
Oh, I hate having a stranger in the middle seat, like, because they touch you and stuff. That.
I'm not sure what flights you're taking where you're getting touched by strangers.
No, but I mean that they've got okay, that just sounded weird. But they've gotten so small now that, like, you know, if you've got two people on either side of you, they're guaranteed. Like, you're sharing an armrest, you know, they're gonna brush up against you. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but maybe they're not doing it. Maybe it's more deliberate, Ria, with you. maybe you tickle their fancy. Who knows?
No, I think it's kind of like cats and humans, right? I'm sort of like that cat in this situation, and they're all like, "Oh, she doesn't like human contact. Let's have some fun." That's probably what it is. Scandinavian Airlines.
So Scandinavian continues to cut its schedule after dropping another 1,700 flights at the tail end of the summer season. Around 1,200 flights in September have been axed, followed by a further 500 in October. Both domestic and international operations are to be affected by the cancellations, which the carrier blames on staffing problems and the fallout from a 15-day strike conducted by its pilots. Scandinavian Airlines had initially planned to axe around 4,000 flights between May and August, representing around 5% of its schedule. However, the true figure ended up at over 7,000 flights following the pilot strike. Now, with its latest round of cancellations in September and October, the airline has now scrapped approximately 9,000 flights this summer and could yet scrap more flights if it doesn't sort its staffing problems out. Obviously, if there are any more announcements with regards to further cancellations, we'll let you know here first.
Wow. Berlin Airport. They've got some good news. Thank goodness.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, so Berlin Brandenburg Airport is taking an innovative approach to resolving the queuing crisis plaguing airports across Europe. That's by implementing a new virtual queuing program for security. Developed by Copenhagen Optimization and Clear, the free virtual queuing program, aptly titled BER Runway, will allow travelers to plan ahead, cutting waiting times through a designated time slot to breeze through security. Reservations open 72 hours before flights on BAR Runway's dedicated website, with passengers able to select a slot that suits their needs based on flight time and group size. Slots are available starting at least 60 minutes before inter-Schengen flights and at least 90 minutes for non-Schengen flights. Once confirming a slot and entering the relevant details, passengers will receive a confirmation email and QR code ready to go once they arrive at the airport. The dedicated BER Runway security lane will be open between 4:30 and 8:30 p.m. each day at Brandenburg's Terminal 1.
Great. And before we get to crew questions, is there any more airlines that are canceling flights between now and March of 2023?
There's quite a few. I mean, where should we start? Lufthansa, they're going to be cancelling flights. They're going to be removing quite a few. I don't know the exact number, to be honest, from their winter schedule. So they've already announced they're going to be cancelling up until 26th of March flights. So there's going to be some there. We've talked about BA. We've talked about Scandinavian. Wizz Air, the low-cost Hungarian airline, they're going to be scrapping almost all of its flights from Cardiff Airport in Wales from September for more than 6 months. That includes services to popular European holiday destinations like Alicante, Corfu, and Lanzarote. American Airlines, they're also cutting more than 29,000 flights in November in an effort to reduce disruption and avoid travel chaos. Basically, it'll be on most routes where the frequency of regular routes will be reduced, not being cancelled altogether, but it's still 29,000 flights. Delta Airlines, they're also cutting more than 4,000 flights in November, which they've said is due to staff shortages caused by an unexpected number of workers calling in sick. How they know that in August for November, I don't know. But they clearly know they're going to have a lot of people off in November.
Do you know what? I mean, once again,
if you were queen of the world.
Thank you. That took you a little longer than I expected, Lee.
Jet lag. Oh, there's that little period.
What do they expect? Of course, the workers are calling in sick. Like, pay your people. That's it. Yeah. I mean, if it costs them, 2 hours worth of pay just to get to work nowadays, and they can't pay their heating bill at the end of the day, why are they going to work? Think about it. Do you know what? Pay your people.
Yeah, exactly right. It's interesting because when we were traveling through Heathrow, and there was we were going through security, and there was a group of about 4, or they were either something to do with the security, but they were working, but they weren't working. But I could overhear their conversation, and it was literally about how much they're getting paid and the cost of how much stuff is now. And at least 2 of them were talking about how it would probably be more beneficial if they weren't working than it was actually working at Heathrow Airport. So, I mean, that was just me traveling through, and I heard 2 staff members talking about it. So it clearly is a massive issue, like we've seen already. And people are, they're weighing up the pros and cons between working and not working, and what you'd probably get in handouts to what you're getting paid from certain airlines and airports. So, they need to pull their fingers out. They need to pay people what they're worth. And that goes across the board for every airline and every airport in the world. And if they don't, then they're just going to carry on seeing these problems.
People are going to work every single day and find that at the end of the day, they can't even afford to keep their heating on, even though they are working 40 hours a week. Then where is the desire to go to work? They're not going to work so you can fly in a private jet next week. They're going to work to look after their families and pay their bills, and hopefully once a year have a little vacation or be able to reward themselves with a new car or even a day out.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Exactly right. There's got to be some motivation to get up and do what you do, isn't there? And if that motivation isn't there because you can't feed your family, or you've got to choose between heating or what you're going to eat this week, then something in society has gone completely wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, the system straight across the board has gone completely wrong, and people need to wake up. But that's enough politics from me today. I missed you last week, Crew question.
We received a question this week from Agnes, wanting to know what countries European travellers would still face COVID restrictions for. Well, Agnes, while almost all European Union countries have already lifted their COVID-related restrictions, there are still some countries that Europeans travelling to will have to abide by certain rules. Now, these countries are New Zealand, Japan, China, Singapore, and Thailand. There are a few others to mention, but I'm not going to list them all. Basically, this means that all Europeans reaching these countries must follow the certain rules. If yourself, Agnes, or any other crew member listening is to travel to any of these countries in the near future, please feel free to reach out to Blue Marine or myself. We'll happily advise you of each country's requirements for entry. I won't do it on air for all of the countries, because we'd be here for over an hour, and it would be extremely boring for everybody. So if anybody needs any information, contact me. I'll happily give it to them.
Yeah, I think probably Canada is part of one of those countries as well, because I know that there is still, quite strict restrictions coming in.
They've put some back in place not long ago with regards to random COVID testing, etc. at the airport on arrival. So a few places have still got them in. We may see a few more coming. I know there's some talks with regards to certain European airports because of the latest outbreaks there, but nothing set in stone yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens for the rest of the year, going into the new year.
Well, the summer's over now, so they could put those restrictions back into place until the Christmas holidays, when they need to make a lot of money again. So then they'll lift the restrictions for Christmas and say, oh my goodness, look, there's another outbreak. Let's put restrictions back in right after Christmas.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the way it works, isn't it? Yep, exactly right.
Anyways, Lee, I have to say thank you. It's really good to have you back. We did miss you last week, although you were camping in the middle of nowhere with your kids and your family. And I do understand. It must have been nice.
It was car from technology. It was nice, but also I did have cold sweats. It was it was like going cold turkey, so it was quite hard. But no, it was lovely. Yeah, it was great. It was great camping. Kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And there was plenty of alcohol, so it was good.
What more can you want? Camping and alcohol, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Exactly right. You Canadians know all about
that. We sure do. And you know what? The one thing I remember about camping in Canada is that in the morning when you woke up in that tent and you felt like absolute hell, the first thing you did was grab a beer and Clamato juice.
Clamato juice?
Yes.
What the? I've never heard of it. No idea
really?
What it is.
It's
no,
tomato juice and clam juice.
Oh my God, that sounds awful.
Oh my God. Don't knock it till you try it. I mean, and then you put a little salt and pepper in it, chug that back, and you're ready to go.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Get you set. I couldn't do it now, but back in the day, that was our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Anyway,
well done.
Just a little info. And I have to mention again that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harrows was born back in the late 1900s. And of course, their people move people.
We do indeed.
Yes, you do. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, looking forward to next week.
You've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.